Oh, good day. Salam alaikum, everybody. Hope this finds you great and that you can see my screen well. Welcome to the room. For those who are still joining, we'll commence the presentation in a minute or so. Um, for those who are joining, if you wouldn't mind turning off your video and your sound during the presentation, and we'll have a Q&A at the end, where I'm more than happy to answer your queries and we can turn the videos back on. Thank you so much. Letting a few people into the room as I speak. It's been a great week. I would love to share with you. We have hosted two webinars already, one in the Northern Hemisphere timescale, where we hosted participants from the UK, Europe, UK, Europe, from the States and from Canada. And today we're on a time zone for Southern Hemisphere when we're opening it up to those of you who are in, for example, South America, also for Australia and New Zealand. One of the strengths, I would say, of these Craft Quest tours is because I do my presentations online, and also for the nature that I target my market, that the quester groups, the people who travel on these quests, are themselves a very diverse and multinational group of people, which makes it all the more richer, I do believe. Thank you so much for joining. I'm just letting the last people in the room. Welcome to the webinar for Craft Quests. Specifically for those interested in 2025, but maybe you're also just curious and would like to know about these craft quests, and that you've just got to know Culture Vultures and these tours, or maybe you're someone who's already booked. I know from the mailing list that I have that there are a few people that have already booked, and I think just want to re-spark their pre-travel inspiration. And then there are those who I haven't met yet. So thank you so much for joining. I will start the presentation as from now. For you, those who are watching, a few guidelines. This presentation is optimized if you are watching it on your computer, or if you're watching it on your phone, then it's best watched in landscape mode because of the nature and the format of the slides. If you are here and present, please turn off your video and your microphone for the presentation. And after that, we will have a Q&A. Please feel free to use the chat along the way. And I will endeavor to include you in the presentation if you've got any comments. And then after about 40 minutes of the presentation, we'll have a Q&A at the end. And my preference is that the Q&A would be questions for the overall, for people who are interested in booking. For those who have already booked, we will also have a Zoom meeting a few months before traveling, which is more for the finer details of your travels, such as money and logistics and what happens when you arrive, and the smaller things that you might need. So if you wouldn't mind holding those questions back for our pre-trip Q&A webinar. And just to let you know that this session is being recorded so that we can put a copy online and let people know who weren't able to join the webinar about these quests. Thank you so much for joining, and I will proceed with the presentation. The webinar is about an hour. My presentation is approximately 40 minutes. Of course, it includes who we are as an organization and a little bit about the people who design and the direction of the project. Excuse me, specifically Craft Quests. An introduction to the two quests that we have running at the moment. I would also give me much honor to introduce you to a dear member of our crafts community, here in Sefrou, which is where we're based as an organization and where I live, which is a market town at the base of the Middle Atlas Mountains in north central Morocco. Of course, we would also like to share our strengths and what makes Culture Vultures and these crafts quests so special. Then we will hear from some testimonials from some previous travelers, questers as we like to call them. And so there's an offer at the end of this webinar. We'll tell you more about that. Stick around and we'll let you know at the end of 40 minutes. And then we'll have a Q&A for those who are in the room. And for those who are watching the pre-recording, I'm actually crafting a frequently asked question sheet, and any of the questions that aren't in there already that come up at the end of this webinar, I will include them and they will be hyperlinks in the YouTube text at the bottom of this video. Thank you so much again for joining. Shukran. My name is Jess Stevens. I have a background in fine arts, fine art painting to be specific. I'm from the UK originally. I moved to Spain in the 2000s. And 7 or 8 years after living in Spain, I slipped down the map here to Morocco. And I came to Morocco with the idea of setting up an artist residency or some sort of artist community. I wasn't quite aware of how rich Morocco was in its crafts community and its artisanship and its making. And so not long after arriving, I set up a half-day artisan visit after recognizing that all the wonderful crafts and the incredible objects, of course, have makers and workshops and stories and culture behind them. And the deeper I dug, the more that was coming up to the surface. And so there started these craft quests, if you like. They are being rebranded as artisan quests, and they consist of half-day visits in Fez, which is our local imperial city, if you like, satellite city from Sefrou. We also do half-day visits to Sefrou. We do 2-day immersions, as well as these much longer immersive 12-day, 15-day craft quest tours, alongside hosting an artist residency program here in Sefrou. So we're all about the crafts, the heritage, the stories, and the creativity of Morocco, and connecting that with visitors. And of course, the most fundamental element of that are the people themselves, and that's where Morocco's engagement and meaning really truly lies. Everyone says it. The Moroccan hospitality is out of this world, one could say. Anyway, that is myself in a nutshell. I would like to share that some of my personal strengths are that I'm comfortable. In fact, I'm at my best when I'm on the road and traveling. And so one of the strengths, I would say, another strength of Craft Quests is that I go to visit the artisans in between the quests. And so I'm not always the program leader. We have some great program leaders, but if I am the program leader or not, I am certainly the one who is designing the quests, and consider myself to be a cultural explorer, if you like. And also that I go to revisit the artisans, connect with the artisans. I'm on the phone with the artisans. I'm hanging out with the artisans in their workshops, in their local environment, sometimes in their houses, and really trying to engage and listen to their response to the quests and also what they've got to offer. So that is one of the biggest strengths that I think Craft Quests has, is that as the program designer, I'm here on the ground and I'm continually building relationships, as I have been here in Morocco for 18 years. Some of those relationships we still share with our communities today. We have 2 quests. The first one on the left, I'm going to describe Jewelry Quest, which in 2025 this year commences on the 14th of October. A very immersive engaging and fascinating exploration of Moroccan jewelry or Moroccan culture through the jewelry and through the people that we meet along the way. It's very much about engaging with the consumers and the people that are wearing the jewelry or maybe handing it down as dowries, as well as the traders and also the artisans themselves. So it has a very much a balance between those three types of communities. We go into artisan workshops. We sit in oasis gardens with two generations of sub-Saharan or pre-Saharan women and talk about their jewelry and look at their jewelry box. We have the opportunity to look at social issues such as marriage and birthing and also how it is to be motherhood and the responsibilities socially and the different aspects of intergenerational issues, as well as the differences between marriage ceremonies and offerings and also dowries, and the jewelry that is being worn today is a huge difference in just 20, 30 years. And so we look at that, for example, and we speak to the women about their experiences, as well as speaking to the sweetest of traders and also finding out what their role is in the influence of jewelry and the changes and the important aspects of what jewelry can tell you about culture and what jewelry can tell you about trade, what jewelry can tell you about politics and also about mining and economy and social issues such as this very fascinating trip. And then, of course, we sit in the workshops and hear the stories of the artisans and watch them working. It's very much southeast of Morocco. We start in easy breezy Essaouira, which is 3 hours away from Marrakesh, which would be maybe some people's landing hub. We start in Essaouira, we go through Marrakesh, and then we really dive into the southeast of Morocco, which is the pre-Sahara, the plains and the small Atlas or the anti-Atlas mountains of Morocco, which are phenomenal. That's a great trip for people who are really interested in digging deep, finding out the identity, the heritage, the history, and the sociology of Morocco through the jewelry. Then we have Textile Quest, and this year that will be running November the 6th, and that's 15 days, 14 nights. It's a broader route. It starts in Tangier in the north. We go through 3 mountain ranges, many villages, small towns. We stop along the way, of course, and also some of the magnificent imperial cities. So from Tangier, we go through the Rif Mountains, we stop off along the way, and then we stop in Fez, which is our satellite city, which is one of the bigger crafts capitals, phenomenal. And then from Fez, we go to Sefrou, which is where we're based. From Sefrou, we go through the Middle Atlas Mountains, and then we start to go through the pre-Sahara plains. Things are completely different. There's a lot of diversity in Morocco. Those mountains really make cultures have been in the past pockets of culture. And of course, Morocco was on the trading route. And so that's had a lot of influence on the material, but also the spiritual and the social values of Morocco. Excuse me. And then we end the trip in Marrakesh. That's Textile Quest. One of the again, strengths of this quest is the communities that we meet along the way, and also the associations and cooperatives that we will meet, and also the exploration of Morocco, really in a 360 perspective in terms of challenges as well as rewards and social issues, economic issues, heritage, history, and contemporary issues are all involved in both of those quests. More will be revealed throughout this presentation. In the meanwhile, I would love to introduce you to one of our strongest ties here in Morocco, who is Mustafa. Mustafa is a weaver. I'm going to explain a little bit what he says after this 1 minute. Mustafa.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله على الجشتي How are you?
Very good.
Are you fine?
Thank you.
الحمد لله الحمد لله
You.
مزيان الحمد لله كل شيء بخير الحمد لله اللهم لك الحمد.
Good. Thank you. Would you mind introducing yourself, Mustafa?
آه. الاسم ديالي مصطفى
My name is Mustafa.
الملقب بويفينغ سفرو
Weaving Sefrou is
من
my
مدينة
name.
صفرو
From Sefrou.
والمهنة ديالي هي النسيج
I'm a weaver,
المهنة ديال الآباء ديالي والأجداد ديالي
and
وهذا هو المحل كان فيه الأب ديالي وقبل منه عاود كان عاود
after my
الوالد
father,
ديالو عاود با سيدي
my
آه.
grandfather,
ماي جراند فادر عاود نيتها
and my great grandfather.
آه. دابا كنخدم داك لي صاك ديال لي كمبيوتر
Currently working on computer bags
وكنصوب عاود داك لي شاول.
and also shawls. He makes the most exquisite shawls. Is there anything you would like to say, Mustafa, to our community?
ومرحبا بكم فوقاش ما جيتو مرحبا بكم
A big welcome, everybody.
محلكم هذا.
Well, this is your
مرحبا.
workshop. This workshop is yours.
لا نتوما ولا الناس اللي كيجيو الكولتور فيلتور
Anyone
كلهم مرحبا بهم.
with Culture Vultures is more than welcome, he would like to say. Mustafa is a weaver that we've worked with for over 15 years in various capacities, bringing people to visit him or resident artists that have worked with him. We currently have a resident artist who is interviewing him, who is about to make a zine on Moroccan culture, including Mustafa in his story. The biggest strength of Culture Vultures, and I hope, Mustafa, that's some implication for you. That was not a scripted dialogue. That was a very natural, open conversation that we recently had and recorded with Mustafa. But the welcoming of Moroccan communities and the relationships that we've built means there's an ultimately very strong kinship that we have nurtured over the years that we are able to share with you. And therefore, one of the joys that is opened up through our quests are the spontaneity often, but also the relationships that we've built that you're able to plug into. On the bottom left is Mubarak Ben Said, who is a silversmith and makes the most incredible heritage brooches. And this was a moment where he spontaneously brought out the poetry that he writes and began to sing the poetry to us that he writes himself. That was a completely unscripted, spontaneous surprise and a hugely meaningful and special moment for us all to take away. On the top left is a group of women. Half of them are questers, and the other half are an embroidery cooperative in the southeast of Morocco. And that was the end of our mid-morning Houkanani party. That was also a total surprise. And they decided to bring their drums with them around tea, and the whole ambience erupted, unscripted, unprogrammed, and really something to take away and resonate for a long time to come. Top right is a guest engaging with Mohammed, one of our long-term relationships. Mohammed is a weaver, fourth generation in his community in Fez. And the bottom left is Deir Eto, and Eto is a heritage carpet knotter. She's not far away from our community here in Sefrou, and someone that we visit on Textile Quest. They are just a few of the many, many people that we meet on both quests. I would like to say it's a very human to human, both of them are very human to human projects. And they involve people. And if it weren't for these people, we wouldn't be able to do these projects. They really are the very essence of the quests and the very key into Moroccan culture, and the very reason why our trips are also very meaningful. And that kinship is something that resonates for a long, long time. We meet half a dozen cooperatives on Textile Quest and several cooperatives on Jewelry Quest. We engage with local guides. So if we travel with a national guide, you will certainly get a program leader. But if the group is big enough, we travel with a national guide. We also work with local guides because obviously or not, there's local knowledge and experiences that we like to hear about and issues. We meet dozens of artisans in their workspaces, dozens, literally. We have an academic presentation on both Jewelry Quest and Textile Quest, and we have team members and participants and people that are involved in roundtables or debates and many more. The amount of people that you meet in the 2 weeks is really something to behold, and makes it a very special trip. Beyond the people, there are also incredible landscapes. The mountain ranges in Morocco are spectacular. We travel in spring and also in autumn, so the weather is delightful. But it also means that the landscape is bursting often. And the road here on the top left is part of Jewelry Quest Road in the southeast of Morocco, and all be then lacking in traffic. It's quite amazing how few cars one meets along the way. The roads are in very good condition. Morocco recognizes that's one of the elements it has to work on, or is working on, in terms of uniting the country for development, as it were, is the infrastructure, and the roads can be really surprisingly very good. On the top right-hand corner is the Middle Atlas, is a village in the Middle Atlas Mountains. And I don't know if you can see that close enough, but the traditional adobe architecture that houses are built from the land. And all along the way, we visit various types of architecture, how important that is. The delightful swimming pool, and this is one of the hotels that we stay in, or the riads, as they're traditionally called. And also this interior picture on the bottom is of a typical riad. The accommodation that we stay in is comfortable, is influenced by the local culture, is not always, but often sophisticated, can be artsy, small, bespoke. We recognize that comfort, pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, is a small element to our quests, because we go into places that maybe we're not used to, or they're not necessarily set up as a touristic experience. They're very real, our experiences, but we also recognize that in an evening, it's important for us to have places that people can process, relax, and be in a comfortable environment to be able to recharge for the next day. The scope of crafts. The scope of crafts is something that I'm keen to keep broadening. If I can relate to Textile Quest, there are great carpets. Carpet making is an important craft of Morocco and an important material heritage, if you like, of the country. And of course, we're looking at carpet making. In fact, we go deep enough to actually connect with shepherds, and then we're looking at wool production, as well as natural dyeing, and the carpet making and the carpet knotting. And so carpets are an inevitable and important element to our crafts portfolio that we'll be sharing with you. But there are also an abundance of other crafts that we like to share. So I'm constantly exploring, what does textiles mean in Morocco? You can have cloth, you have weaving, you have carpet knotting. Top right-hand corner are samples of tiny, minute, hand-woven kaftan buttons. So that's something that we look at, and they're very ethnographic. If the kaftan button could speak, it would have a lot to share about Moroccan culture. And then also the gold threaded, heavy embroidered piece underneath it is a saddle. There's a lot of adornment in horse dressage, and the saddles are phenomenal in themselves, and of course textiles. And then there's the embellishment of a kaftan going on the bottom left-hand side. And those are just some of the textiles that we look at on Textile Quest. And on Jewelry Quest, we're also looking at Southeast is a very predominant silver production, but also when you're wearing silver headpieces, for example, like the central photo, top central photo is a coned headpiece. that actually inspired part of the design of the Statue of Liberty. A French engineer architect was supposed to have traveled in Morocco before the design of the Statue of Liberty, and therefore that coned headpiece you can see here has a lot of remnants to the Statue of Liberty. Headpieces are important, but cloth underneath the headpieces. So this is what this woman is wearing on the top left. In Jewelry Quest, we're also looking at rituals and rites of passage, weddings, for example. And so she started to adorn herself in her own wedding gear that she wore many decades before. That was a special moment, unprogrammed and unscripted. And here she's putting on the textile headpieces, the pom-pom headpieces that they wear in her tribe and community of people. And then the bottom silver triangular piece is the phenomenon of what is called in Amazigh culture tazazit, or in French, a fibule. And it's actually an enormous brooch that would have been part of dowry. Silver was a very important material for dowries for financial security. Some of the scope that we look at on the crafts in both Textile Quest and Jewelry Quest. Beyond the crafts, we're also looking at architecture, of course. This is a madrasa, an Islamic school in Marrakesh, which is 1,000 years old and all hand carved, and this is a plaster carved surface, as well as wood carving and wood painting and mosaicked incredible building, Sidi Ben Yusuf. Those are the things that we would not walk past without dipping into. And also on the left, we have here some of the rock engravings. Morocco has a long history of mankind's mark, including prehistoric and ancient civilizations who have left their mark on rocks. And both quests, we look at some of the rock art, and these are pieces down in the southeast outside of Qatar, and they're some 5,000 years old when they've been carved with rock on rock. And you see the very open gorge of the line of the drawing. You know that it's a rock itself that has made that mark. Then you know that these rock engravings are 5,000 years old. And in fact, they're depicting animals that don't any longer exist in that region. And then there's the spontaneous hookanannies. And this is again a picture of the embroidery session that we were supposed to have. There is one woman embroidering there, but there are also a lot of drumming, singing, sugared tea and dancing went on in that incredible session. And so we also like to encourage the odd hookananny if one can. Crafts, quests, strengths, as you may or may have not, but I hope you have understood, is built on the trust of our communities. Our communities are very important, and we spend our entire year focusing, reconnecting, and nurturing those relationships. The deep cultural insight, that's also very important. We really like people to leave with a great 360 perspective of Morocco, challenges and rewards equally. But we have, I have collected over the 15, 20 years of my interest in Morocco, I have collected academic research articles on various aspects of Moroccan culture, including the crafts, but not solely. A lot of sociological, anthropological, as well as historical research papers in English that we share along the way before and after traveling, as well as a well-curated book list on Moroccan culture that includes coffee table books and novels and academic books. So cultural insights are really important. We like people to grasp what Morocco is all about. Can also be through recommended media lists, documentaries, film lists. These are all things that we collect and share with our clients, our costers along the way, as well as academic presentations. So we are connected both in one foot in the grassroots on the ground and the other in academia. And so an academic presentation on Moroccan culture, specifically, for example, immersive culture, or specifically from a jewelry historian, are very important elements for people to grasp the topics and the country that we're traveling around. Meaningful connections, I can't share enough how important they are to us. Another example I would love to share is when we visit a male knitter, a shepherd, in the Middle Atlas Mountains, where at some point until about 20 years ago, they were cut off from the rest of life for 4 or 5 months in deep snow. He is a knitter and at one point was knitting his own long johns, needs must, as it were, and his wife is a carpet maker, as many are in that region. They've been together for some 60 years. They don't even know how old they are. And when they're sitting together, explaining stories and sharing their life, and she spontaneously sings the songs that were sang to her around her wedding day. There is nothing quite like sharing that experience with someone and the joy, and there's something special about being able to share that experience with someone in their home lounge as she's spinning wool and he's knitting socks on bicycle spokes. A pure delight. The other strength of Crafts Quests and our organization is the reflection on what is responsible and ethical tourism. It's something very important. It's something that is a constant dialogue between us as an organization, between us as a group of questers, I think, also, but also between a dialogue between our collaborators and the organization of what is the impact of these trips on our communities, and what does it mean for our communities, and how can it contribute in the right or wrong way to our communities? So it's something that we're constantly asking ourselves. I do actually have a sustainable travel practices document that I will hyperlink if people are watching it. This is a pre-recording. I will hyperlink it in the text, and I will put it in the follow-up email for those people that are signed up to this webinar. But that's a very important aspect to our travel practices. And last but not least is these programs are designed to be, of course, meaningful and inspirational, because inspiration, of course, is contagious and can only have a ripple effect. So I would love to look at who is a typical quester. Albeit that people come from various pockets of the world, English speaking is something that is bringing us together, of course. But it's often when I ask people in groups, if you are A, B, C, or D, we will see what people put now. So are you, for example, someone who is drawn to culture, crafts, and stories that don't appear in the guidebooks? A. Or are you B, curious about heritage, not just how things are made, but why they matter, and also what they're telling us about a culture and a community and a society? Or are you C, someone who loves to engage with communities in ways that are respectful, reciprocal, and real? Or are you D, a creative soul, a maker, a writer, an observer, seeking inspiration off the beaten track? Yes, as I can see, it's no coincidence that almost everyone answers all of the above. I am A, I am B, I am C, I am D. And so what's very important for us, obviously or not, as an organization and also as this project, is that we match the right quester to the quest. And so it's very important for us that the right people come on these trips. And of course, it's very important for the potential travelers that they find the right trip. And so the engagement with people, the slipping off of one's shoes to go into a house, the spectacular road trips and the landscapes, as well as the search for inspiration and the respectful search for stories, maybe the inspiration for your own making practice. Not everyone who comes is a practitioner, I would say. It's equally inspiring if you're a practitioner or not. But these are the type of characters that we tend to attract. A quester, dear Joan, from last year's 2024 Textile Quest, stated as a great testimonial that it was the highest, deepest, widest, specially designed and exactly targeted authentic cultural immersion experience. Who wouldn't want to share that? Lucky you. We would love to encourage you to share this type of meaningful travel with a dear one, because there's nothing quite like the resonance of reliving and retelling stories with a friend back home a year, 6 months, time afterwards, that really raises and relives that experience. And so we encourage you to travel with a dear one, an aunt, your mother, your daughter, a dear friend, a sister, maybe has the same interests, maybe doesn't, but travels in the same nature, that would want to come, and you are offered 150 euros discount each if you book in the next 3 days. So let me know, do reach out, send an email if you're interested in that offer. It includes travel buddies and a twin share. I will roll into a Q&A for those who are still in the room. But meanwhile, I would like to jump onto some music that I have planned for those who are watching the pre-recording, and then we'll jump back to the Q&A for those who are in the room. At the bottom right-hand corner, you will see our online handle, which is how you will find us on Instagram and Facebook. We're also online with an website address, culturevultures.ma. Little music from Aziza, who is a local poetess singing some local poetry. Thank you so much. Appreciate you joining this webinar. If you do have any questions that aren't answered in the frequently asked questions sheets, there are plenty of hyperlinks I will add into the text below the video that will give you more information, including the programs. We have a preliminary program for Textile Quest and a preliminary program for Jewelry Quest, as well as the terms and conditions and all the other documents that I've mentioned. I appreciate you being here, and I certainly hope you will join us on one of the quests as we deep dive into Moroccan culture. Shukran Zev, thank you so much. I'm going to stop the recording and say adios from here.